New listings. Gary Thomas, who's not here. Nice listing in Albertville, though, for 400 grand. We've got Angela. Angela's not in the room. She's in the building, though. Sold it before the meeting. We've got Josh, who's not in. Long, who's not in the room. Sold that before. That one's sold, too. Jeez, you guys are selling this stuff. Angela, you had a listing like 2 back. Hold on. I want to see where you got it from.
Professional network lead.
This one right here. Professional network. Nice. I don't know why you got to sell the thing before the meeting, so we can't even sell it in-house here. Way to go.
I brought it to the networking before.
You did? Okay. Nice job. So, professional network, how you staying in contact? Are you doing one-on-one meetings, or what are you doing?
I'm just bugging the crap out of people.
Being you. You're doing you. All right, so, Viet. Terry, you guys working on this one? So we don't know where this one came from. Probably Spear. Meg Johnson, I don't think is in. Meg Johnson again, who's not in. Brianna, who's not in.
That's her house.
Oh, it is. If you can't get your own listing. Paying Chain, not in. Baltzer. Nice picture, Dan. Wow. This is 101 what not to do. Right from our sales manager. Okay, so.
That's actually Soye's.
Oh, it is. Oh, that's right. Okay. But Dan's name's still on it. He's still going to catch the flag for it. Upsall, not in. Kelly Brott, not in. Last one. Jeff Gunther's not in. Nice looking rehab, though. All right, listings and new sales. How do we do? Wow, you guys are out getting PAs accepted. Brent Berry, not in. Leslie, not in. Doug Thurston, not in. Where is everybody today?
I don't know.
Ray Stanger, not in. Tamley, someone's got to know where this came from. Pinnacle team's all tight back there. Look at them. They know everything that's going on.
It's a Lee, it's a Spear.
Spear? Okay. My?
99% of towns come from Spear.
They do.
Yep.
KC, anybody know where this one came from? This probably is a company
That
lead.
was a
Company lead, yep. KC is fantastic with company leads. Beth, not in. I'm going to say that's Beth again. Aaron Peterson, well, looks like he's retiring, $69,000. There's his beer tab money. Dylan, not in. Angie ran out of the room, like usual. Brandon, Tiffany is not in. Tell me about that one. Long. Jeez, how many people you got in there? Long and Michelle. Lori, did I see you in? Yep.
somebody from church
Church, nice.
praying for that stuff, right?
Very good, yes. Misty, not in. Tracy, not in. Anybody doing Tracy's file back here? Lena.
Spear.
Spear. Gotcha. Hunter, not in, but I know where you got this one. That was a referral. Elijah, not in. Last one. Who's got it? Mark Beaver, not in. Okay, we have a really small meeting today, a small group today, but we'll get through all this stuff. Close the door. Okay, so a couple weeks ago we announced that we were doing the best elevator speech contest. We're going to wrap that up today and announce it today. We've got a few good candidates. And Anna, did you have any more that weren't sent to me, or are we all sent? Okay, perfect. We're gonna wrap that up today. Also, one thing I've been seeing, guys, and this is something to really pay attention to, I've had this issue pop up a few times on our risk management side of things, is disclosure requirements and new damage into a property prior to closing. And let me tell you what I'm talking about. So, 2 or 3 times lately we've had it where somebody has noticed damage or reported damage, and it doesn't necessarily mean damage, a deficiency of some kind, something doesn't work, something you'd expect that they'd find at a home inspection. And there's been an argument between the buyer and seller between whether or not that problem existed prior to writing the offer or not. So in other words, let's say you write an offer, you have a home inspection, everything pans out to be fine, and the day before closing you find out the washer doesn't work. You know, so that's something that was done after the offer was written, but prior to closing. Everybody know what the purchase agreement says that's supposed to happen with that? Seller's got to fix it, right? Yet if the seller wasn't aware of the problem and it did exist prior to the offer being written, then the buyer's assuming that problem. So I'd be very, very careful with your sellers and disclosure requirements as well, because what happens is on a full seller's disclosure, if they go back and say, hey, there's no problem with the washer, everything's fine, and then the buyer does their inspection and then later the washer's not working, the seller's saying in their own words, there's no problem with this. Well, if there's no problem with it, but now there's a problem, the seller's going to probably get roped into having to fix that. So be very careful explaining the way disclosure works with your seller, you know, that if there is a problem, disclose it. Because you don't want your closing being held up, which we've had, like I said, 2 or 3 of these now that have been, over this exact same issue.
Mike?
Yeah.
Something that I think, well, at least for us, has helped, is we really encourage our sellers, whether they're asked for or not, is to get the home warranty.
Yep.
Because we just don't get phone calls for those kinds of problems afterwards.
You really don't. Yep. And you know, it's one thing when you get a problem after, but it's definitely another thing when somebody holds your closing hostage over a $200 repair. You know, and that's what we've been dealing with, is things like that. Another thing we've been dealing a lot with, more than I've ever seen in my whole career, is sellers trying to back out of a purchase agreement. Not buyers, but sellers. I just don't feel like selling anymore. We've had 4 of those in the last 45 days. So be mindful of that and careful of that. And I want to say what happens every single time is I'll get a phone call or it'll escalate to me from Dan. And the question is, what do we do about this? How do we force them to sell? And the answer is, you're not going to. The amount of money and time and energy it would take to legally force somebody to enforce that contract, no one's really going to do it. So I'd be very mindful of taking on listings and making sure the seller is really motivated. Don't just list the home and sell it if the seller is not serious about it. 4 times in 45 days, and I talked to a couple of other brokerages out there, and they're seeing kind of a rise and increase on that as well. So be very careful. Even when you have a buyer, I would always check the pulse of the seller to say, how serious are they about this? If they accept this offer, you know, ask questions. Do they have a place to move into? Are they looking to buy? Are they looking to rent? I would ask questions to see if the other side will answer, just to see if you can get a sense for what you're dealing with.
Micah, can I jump back to your previous question?
Yep.
We're on the buy side. This house had gorgeous hardwood floors. Kitchen, dining room, living room, down the hallway, into
Sure.
the bedroom area. Probably the prettiest hardwood floors I've ever seen, kind of a dark color.
Sure.
We got to the final walkthrough and it turned out that all the rugs had faded
Faded the thing,
floor
yep.
in different patterns.
Yep.
Like different colors and different, so it was like a patchwork quilt. It was
Right.
awful.
I've seen that, yep.
Yeah.
Now, the way that would work is that the seller, remember, the sellers have to disclose the material facts that they are aware of. So in your case, it'd be kind of hard if somebody cleans their floor to make an argument that they wouldn't know that that's there, right? But let's say that for whatever reason we can't prove they actually knew. The buyer then, the onus is on the buyer to do their inspections and satisfy themselves with the condition of the property. So if they notice a day of the walkthrough that this problem existed, the buyers would still have to move forward, provided they can prove that the sellers didn't know, or the sellers can prove that sellers didn't know about the problem. That's where it gets sticky. And I think agents have to be very careful of that, of describing this situation during their inspection period. To say, look, after this inspection, whatever's found or not found, we are taking that risk on. We still got to close. That's a conversation we really need to have, because more and more I'm seeing this pop up where contracts, like purchase agreements, are being thrown aside. I don't care what I agreed to, I'm just not doing it. I don't know if it's a cultural shift in the marketplace of buyers, a mentality shift, or if it's just something we're seeing a weird coincidence right now. But more and more we're seeing contracts just being set aside and saying, I don't care what I wrote and what I agreed to. So, another thing that we've been getting, how many people have been selling properties with an association attached to it that may not be a regular 515B condo association? You know, single family association with, okay, so Lena, I know we've had this conversation before. And the question always comes back to, what can I expect in terms of documentation on that association? What do they have to provide? Now we know with 515B, it's regulated what they have to provide. It's all spelled out. But what about non-515B? So this falls kind of under the material fact disclosure items that they've got to give and provide anything that's a material fact. So any documentation that does exist on that association should be provided by the seller. However, it would be a wise idea for you guys in your purchase agreements to write language in there saying whatever association documents exist, whatever they may be, we want all material facts and all relevant information, every bit of association documents that your association has. Put the onus on the seller to get that, not on the buyer, not on you. So make sure that you're writing that in. Got that? Okay. Another major issue we ran into this year, and we're going to shift the way we do this in the office a little bit, but we've had 5 people lose their license this year because they did not complete their CEs. 5. And by the way, all 5 of them have had, I believe, active contracts in play and active buyers and sellers in play. Here's the reality, guys. The Department of Commerce has stated clearly that a brokerage like us, it's not our responsibility, or is it feasible for the broker to track down everybody's CEs. We'd have to have an entire department for that, and everybody's CE requirements may be different. There's different requirements based on whether you're a first-year agent, whether you're not, whether you're a broker, whether you're not. The onus is on you guys to track your own CEs. We always let you know how to. We always let you know where to log into. We always let you know what to do to find out. But 5 people failed to do so, and they lost their license. So we are toying with an idea in here for next year that we're gonna have a mandate that by June 1st, we want all CEs completed, and we want the certificates for them. So that way we know that if we don't have all your certificates, you're probably in danger. We can at least try to bug you a little bit. But the fact is, guys, as an independent contractor, as a business owner, if you can't keep yourself in business because you're not paying attention to the Facebook notices we're sending out or the rules that your licensing body is giving you, if you can't pay attention to that to protect your own license and income and look into a broker or somebody else to do it for you, you got to shift your mentality on that. The Department of Commerce says it is your responsibility, so keep that in mind. Also, don't push your CEs to the last minute. We do that in this industry. June 29th, we're all trying to get the last 4 hours in, you know? So try to make sure to get that done early.
And also, even if you know you took the classes and you know you have your hours, we've seen it twice where the CE provider reported the CEs under the wrong license number. So the agent thought they were fine, and here 3 months later, their license is revoked because there's no CEs at all. And they're still fighting with the provider to report it. It's been 2-3 weeks now where we're fighting trying to get these reported, even though we're holding the certificates in our hand. The Department of Commerce says this provider has to report those. So always check.
Yeah,
Even if you think you're good, always
And
check.
give yourself time. That's what I'm saying. Don't do this last minute, because if there is a hiccup, the Department of Commerce don't care whose fault it is. You won't have a license until it's figured out. So make sure, that's why we're going to start trying to mandate by June 1st, everybody's got everything done. Because poor Dan, we got to send him running around with your buyers and sellers if you don't have a license. He loves that. Okay. Another thing I see in the industry a lot, even in our office. Make sure both on your computer and your mobile phone that you have a signature line on your emails. So a template signature line. A lot of times I see people send email out and there's no signature line in there. So in other words, there's no phone number. When people have to track you down and try to find your number and it's difficult for them, a lot of times they just won't. That includes leads and clients and everybody else you're dealing with. So if you don't have, and if you might have to set it up separately. Just because you set up on your computer doesn't mean it's going to be set up on your phone that way. You might have to do both.
Mike, text messages too, you gotta tell people who you are.
Absolutely.
My gosh, I get text messages and it's like, I don't know who this is.
Right.
Mhm.
And I know iPhones are more difficult to do that. You have to do some app, I found out.
Yeah, to have the
But
template. Yep.
Androids, it's easy. You can
Right.
just add your name to it.
So, and you're right, because a lot of times people will send a text out and we won't know who it's coming from. They don't save your number automatically. Especially when you're talking about leads and follow-up, they don't know exactly who you are. They might talk to 3 different agents and go, well, I don't remember this person. So one thing we're going to do, guys, in here is I want to start highlighting success stories from here to start posting out on your behalf all over the world. And what I want those success stories to look like is some sort of overcoming of an obstacle that you and your client had to overcome. So every single month, we're going to take kind of applications for this and pick one that we really, really like. You know, something that's a little moving, something that's a little, inspirational, some sort of challenge that you and they had to overcome to get them into the house that they are now in or sell the house that they had to vacate. So it's kind of a PR, human interest piece to a point, but we want to be able to highlight you and your work as well as what your client went through. So what we're going to do is send notices out for that, looking for your story, so to speak, by such and such date every single month. So when you have one, keep that in mind, because you'll be able to share that through your network as well, coming from us.
Can you give us an example?
Somebody that, for example, they lost their financing a week before closing, and maybe they had to live in a extended stay for 2 weeks before they could actually get closed, and they've got a 2-year-old kid. I mean, just those kind of things that are just tough challenges that somehow you got them through. That you didn't give up on them and they didn't give up on you and you still got the deal done. Or a seller that tried to back out of a purchase agreement and now we've got to vacate our lease in a week and a half and no place to live. I mean, those kind of tough things. Okay, so another thing too, speaking of text messages and emails, response rates, guys, this is something that has been tested, and how many people in the room right now are using video texting regularly? No one. Whew. We got to do some work in here, guys. So BombBomb's a good email one, but you can do texting. You can literally just take a quick video on your phone and send that off, through a text. Or you can get an app. You can use a number of different apps that will have a video, like it can be longer, and you can have that right into your text as well. So what you want to do is start utilizing that, because the response rate and the conversion rates on those video texts are so far superior, especially for our lead team, people that don't know you. What's the highest, by the way, the highest conversion tactic? Is it a text, a phone call, or a face-to-face?
Text.
A face-to-face is always going to be the highest conversion rate. And the text is probably going to be the second, but you can kind of combine those two and give them a sense with face-to-face. And you know what? The number one reason people cite why they don't do it is they don't like how they look on video. I'm going to tell you right now, get the hell over that. Seriously. Nobody likes how they look on video. Get over it. You're costing yourself money and opportunity over something dumb in your own head. Just do it, okay? Like
that's just an app or something?
there's different apps. There's different apps you can use for video texting to embed larger videos and stuff like that. But you can literally just take a video on your iPhone and text that video out. You can do that too. You can attach it. So anyway, that being said, Mike Hellickson, my coach, has a great line. He says, "I got a great face for radio." He don't care. He sends video out all the time. Nobody cares, is my point. Okay. Another thing we're playing with in here, and I want you guys' cooperation and feedback on this one. Has anybody heard of Real Scout? So Real Scout's a software. It's extremely expensive, but I think we can do it internally inside our office without their platform. But what Real Scout allows you to do, it allows us to take a pool of all the buyers we're working with collectively and categorize those. So in other words, imagine being at a listing presentation and say, hey, right now we've got, according to our software, 47 buyers for a house inside our office right now that they're looking for a house just like yours. Think how powerful of a tool that is. Okay? We're looking at probably developing something like that. We're taking on Real Scout if we can get the price right to be able to do that as a value proposition to your sellers, saying, I can tell you right now for a house with your specs and your statistics and your neighborhood and everything else, we've got X amount of buyers right now that would be interested in that. It also tells you who to talk to when you have a seller coming up to say, look, Scott Manning over here says he has a buyer that this might work for. I'm going to call Scott before I even get this thing listed. Does anybody have interest in that program if we develop that? Good, good. The only caveat is you have to video text each other, otherwise we're not building it.
I like color look. I'll do it.
Perfect. Now, Bruce, this time I'd prefer if you had clothes on with the video texting. I mean, last time was a little out there, but. Okay, let's see.
In the Superman cape.
Let's see. Okay, so MLS inputs. Guys, I got to talk to you guys about this too because we've had a lot of people recently turning in listings that without the required fields filled out and then wondering why we can't put it active. So that's happened a few times. So make sure every single required field is right. And I want to make a very strong point here. I want to reverse some thinking. So if Tabitha's entering listings in, I want you to understand Tabitha is not your assistant. She's data entry, meaning she puts in what you provide. If you provide, it's a 5-bedroom house when it's a 3, and then call her and say, why'd you put it in there? Why didn't you check my mistake? That's not her role. She's data entry. You've got to make sure that your stuff is accurate. That is not her job to do. So I want to be clear on that. Make sure your required fields are done. People, you guys make thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars to sell a house. Spend 5 minutes and make sure it's right. That's what you're paid for, okay? Also, Claudia here. Who has not met Claudia? Everybody's met Claudia. Perfect. Okay. So Claudia is now our first official Realty Group employed and ran TC. So we've got TCs in the back. We've got TC now that we employ. Different options, different programs, but Claudia's going to be sitting right back there. And the yes, so stop by and visit, and we're just getting her trained up in how to do TC work. Our philosophy is I think we're going to get so busy in the next upcoming months with files that we need to be able to control how the TC work goes to a point, because we can load up one TC like Lena back there with 50 files, and if there's not other options, people don't have the ability to get their TC work done. We want to make sure there's different options, and we don't want to take away from anything that the other TCs are doing. That's not what we're trying to do. We just want to make sure that when we're doing not 150 files a month like now, but when we're doing 300 files a month, that we have options for you. Okay, late files, guys. We've been getting an uptick in late files again. Remember, we do not want to fine you guys. We don't want to. However, when people are consistently late, we have to. So please make sure to get your files in timely. Also, back in the back, way in the back, we got Guardian Title back here. Let's raise your hand. So I want to thank you guys again. We're off to a great start with Guardian. Remember, the reason we're doing this is we're building a title company built by realtors for realtors. Many title companies really have never had any real estate experience. They're building a company based on what they think realtors want. We're actually building one based on what realtors want. In order to make this work, we need your guys' help to throw a file or two in just so we can test things out and get things moving to see if there's anything we need to fine tune. So, the girls back here from Guardian, I'll let them introduce themselves one more time so you can hear their voice. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Megan. I'm the closer.
Megan's a closer.
And then Krista's our processor.
Yes. And they both just love title. It's all they do all day and night, and they want nothing more in life. So you feel good about that. Okay. Upcoming events to talk about. I'll let Jessica kind of run with this.
Sure.
We
So
got
this-
lots of stuff.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna pull it off our Facebook events and just to remind
Oh,
everyone how to
before you
get
do
there.
that, we did post out how to get files to Guardian recently again, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
Yeah.
does anybody not know where to find that?
Is it in Facebook?
It's dot loop, you said, right?
yep, it's in that loop it's in a Guardian folder, right?
It's called Guardian Title, under like the documents where you see like residential, like where you get your forms from.
Yep, it's
Yep.
in there. And just a reminder, there's an affiliated business disclosure that has to be signed for each Guardian Title file early. Have them signed early and often for people that are, customers that are choosing Guardian. So they're in there. It's also on the Facebook group. If you just search for hashtag Guardian or hashtag Guardian Title, it's in there too. But the main spot you'll want to use it is .loop. So as far as, yeah.
Is the affiliation, is that required for all files?
No,
Just the Guardian ones.
just for customers that choose Guardian. Yep. So, any other questions on that, in Guardian?
I don't think so. I'd like to make the comment, Liberty Title has been a great partner of ours, and they will continue to be. We're not trying to take everybody's title and have a monopoly. We want you guys to have options. We just early on here really need you guys' help to get this thing up and running in terms of process and efficiency. We want to make sure that if there's anything we need to tweak, that we'll hear your feedback to do so.
Exactly. So, for the events here, so when you're on your Facebook page, go to Home right here, go to the groups. This is a shortcut, so click on Realty Group, and then go to Events. And the phone is similar, but here's how you go to the events. And here's our events coming up. So right after this, we have the team leader meeting and a .loop training.
Yeah, and the team leader meeting, for those that have a team or are building a team, it's a great thing to go to. We're going to be talking a lot today about process, about almost a production line approach to teams and keeping people accountable. The hardest thing with running a team is keeping people doing what they're supposed to do. So we're going to talk a lot about that today at the meeting.
Okay. On Thursday the 7th, it's a meet and greet sponsored by AMIC and Guardian, and that's downstairs in our game room. So we're going to be doing barbecue, games, hanging
Prizes
out.
too.
Prizes.
If you can beat me at bags, you might get a prize.
Might have a buck hunter tournament.
Or that, yeah. I
We
cheat.
have a-
I do cheat. I'm not going to lie. If you're not trying to cheat, you're not trying to win. That's how I look at it. Anyway, so
We're getting a new game. If anyone doesn't know or has forgotten, we do have the game room downstairs. It's like a lounge, just to go down, hang out, just enjoy it. It's there for everyone to use.
And the other thing is too about that, it's a meet and greet because we got so many new people in the office that don't know each other. It's a great opportunity for people to get to know each other. There's so much good networking and collaboration and sharing we do in here. And as 5-10 new people a month are coming over, we don't want to, get to the point we don't recognize faces and don't collaborate. So we want to have you guys, come to this and partake.
Yep. And this this golf tournament. Who is this?
It's Doug Thurston.
Is it
Thurston,
Doug?
yep.
Okay. So it's Doug Thurston. So there's some awareness there if you want to check out what he's got going on.
I ripped the ligament out of my finger driving a golf cart at the last one, so I'm going to stay
Toys for Joy. Yeah.
completely out of this one. You're
He
on
got a
your
little
own.
crazy. I don't think he was drinking.
I wasn't, unfortunately.
He doesn't have that excuse.
It's not
Nope.
the trigger finger, is it?
No, I'm looking good there.
Then on the, let's see, what do we have here? On the 23rd, so the same date from noon to, what do we have, noon to 5 is our end of the summer party for Realty Group. We want to celebrate a great summer. Everyone's been doing an awesome job. Families welcome. It's going to be at the Rum River Regional Park. We're going to have a big bouncy house. We're going to have karaoke. We're going to have, we're going to do prizes.
Yeah.
Have a barbecue. So we're, bring your family and join us for
And
that.
let's face
It's
it,
gonna be fun.
this summer's been crazy. It's been, great. Everybody is doing more business now than they were a year or so ago. It's been awesome. So we want to celebrate that. We want you to celebrate that. So yeah, we're gonna probably have some fireball and jump on the bouncy house. So how do you pass that up? We love to, because we want to make sure we have a headcount for food.
Yeah, and all of these events, when you open them up, you can RSVP here. We're gonna go off of this. And if you want to make a comment, it's probably a good idea if you're bringing your family, bring kids. Just tell us how many plus you're bringing, and it's totally fine.
I'm trying to talk long into doing the duct take, but have softballs coming at his face. Still a little early for that.
Yeah, it might be. All right, so then we have, let's see, we're jumping to end of September, so there'll be another team leader, but I want to focus on the specific events that aren't a repeating event. We also have, this is a SPAR event that we want everyone to participate in if you can. Packing, this is the SPAR one, right, Anna? Yep, so this is, let's see here.
On the
Meals from the
26th.
Heart, Stillwater, yep, on the 26th, from 1 to 2. We're getting a group together. There's different shifts. I mean, do we decide which, we're doing 1 to 2, and then you can sign up for whatever works for you.
And guys, I'm going to be blunt about this particular thing right here. Do you think today, in today's world, when you're prospecting, when you're dealing with customers, 10 years ago, do you think it matters much today as giving back? What do you think? What do you think the answer is today versus 10 years ago? Do consumers want to see you give back? Do they want to see what kind of person you are versus what your sales number is?
Yes.
More and more, that's true today. You know, so not to twist a good cause into personal gain, but the reality is if you're not out there giving back, that's going to help cost you. You know, so go out, help, give back. You know, send a few pictures on Facebook, do something to let people know that it's not just about your sales numbers and about the money you're making, it's about your investment back in the community.
And then let's see what else we got coming up here.
Then we got the Realtors Unite.
Yes,
Yep.
and the last one to highlight is the convention, the Realtors Convention, brought back to Minnesota. They're starting it up again, and we're going to have a booth there. There's some opportunities to volunteer at the booth if you want to, and we're getting more information out as that comes. But we encourage everyone to go. It's going to be a great event and great networking opportunity.
It will. Okay, so those are the end of the events, right? All right. Now, last thing I was going to do before we wrap up. Anybody have any really, really good stories out there they're dealing with they'd like to share in terms of challenges, struggles, weird things they've seen? We've seen a lot lately, so I'm just curious to see if your guys' experience is the same. Anyone?
Start us out, share something.
Okay, so for example, we have one in the office where a seller has sold a home to 2 different buyers. Yeah. And the listing agent is both on the Forms Committee and the Professional Standards Committee. You think they'd know better? Mm-hmm.
How did it happen?
Well, in our attorney's opinion, a misunderstanding of how contracts work, which is weird considering he's on the committee that writes them, but, you know, nothing surprises me anymore. I mean, we got Colleen bit by a dog a month or so ago. We got all kinds of crazy stuff going out there. So what are you guys running into? Give me something fun. Come on. Anyone? I mean, it's been a couple years since somebody walked in and someone naked in a hot tub in a house. We got to have something fun here, right? Nothing but storm damage? How about conversion stories? Any great way you picked up a buyer or seller?
Last spring, I was driving through the parking lot and I almost hit an old lady with my car.
Again.
And I went over and talked to her and she saw that I had my
Your name
on,
tag?
and she said that she's looking to sell her house and buy, so I'm helping her.
That is the best conversion story I've heard in a long time. I will run your ass off the road, by the way. Here's my card. That's a good one. So, by the way, we had a couple years ago a woman get a transaction out of here because she was wearing her name tag in the dental chair. The hygienist is like, "Oh, hey, you sell real estate." I mean, that name tag, believe it or not, is a huge. And if you don't have, a sweatshirt, a branded sweatshirt or jacket, you should get one of those too, with your name and decal on it, because people will come up to you and start talking to you about what you do. Any other good conversion stories?
I had my first ever, I guess, buyer and listing week from an open house that I did.
From an open house?
That I did.
Nice.
Well, it's the only person that showed up. It was really weird.
This takes one.
It just takes one.
So she wouldn't even give me her phone number or anything.
Yeah.
She left me an email and she just said, I asked her if she wanted me to set her up in a search.
Yep.
And she said, sure. And one day she just called me up.
Beautiful. So, yes.
I've got one. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
What I was going to say on that point, guys, is the key to open houses, and this is where people fall off. They do 1 or 2 opens and nothing happens and they think they don't work. Or they say, well, it's going to be raining this weekend, so I'm not going to do it. The key to open houses is doing literally a minimum of one a week, regardless of weather or temperature or what's going on in the world, because you have to stay consistent to have that one person walk in. If you do that, I know people that are doing 20, 25 transactions a year just from open houses, but they're there. You know what they do too? This is smart. They bring their work with them. They will bang out work if it's not busy. It's office time. It's like floor time at an office where you're sitting there waiting for customers to walk in. And yet we get off of that because we think it's a waste of time. It's not a waste of time. Tiffany Greener just reported she got a seller lead out of an open last weekend, and her son Nathan was giving her crap because he thinks that she could do better at open houses. Like, oh, you need to work on your open house skills, and she walks out with a seller. So, but my point is you have to stay consistent week after week. I've had people walk in on the 4th of July when nobody else in the world should even be working. Here's me working. They walk in. They're like, I need an agent right now. You just never know. But it's the consistency of being there is where the money is.
From our class, the listings.
Oh, the boot camp? Yep.
On Thursday class for getting better at listings.
Yep.
We took it to heart to do geofarming.
Nice.
So we ordered 500 Vista print door hangers.
Yep.
We laid out the year and what we're going to do. We're doing every other month, so we're not overwhelming the neighborhood.
Right.
So this last week I went out and I knocked out 50 every couple of days here. We figured it would take us a week. And one of the houses I stopped at, the guy was in his garage and I didn't get too close, so I didn't startle him. And I said good morning to him. I said, I've got something here for you. And it says, we're sweet on this neighborhood. And it says we live on Bay Drive, so they know where it is.
Yep.
And we put a lifesaver on. So I walked up and handed it to him. And he looks at it, he says, I've been thinking about selling. Can you do a market analysis?
Beautiful.
No problem.
Yep.
He gave me all the, he wrote it on a napkin because it's the only paper he has. So I've got all of his contact information.
So they say don't expect anything out of geofarming for like a year. I say that every time I've seen somebody put the real effort into it, it's been a matter of 60 or 90 days or less. And by the way, I think I might have shared this idea with a couple people in the office, but one thing that I think would be a great idea with geofarming, if you're going to do it, is get to the local businesses, especially the small businesses, family owned, and start interviewing those people about their businesses. Not about what their business has to offer necessarily, but about them, the owner and the one that opened the business and runs it. Get their story, get what's unique about them, their challenges getting the business open, get what struggles they went through, what their special USP is for that business. Advocate for that local business because it's that community you're trying to work in, and you're spotlighting, highlighting, and advocating for that business, and then blast it out in those private Facebook groups in those neighborhoods. Help promote everybody to get to know the story behind the storefront. That right there, I think, is a $1 million idea if you do it correctly, because people are going to look at you not just as a realtor, but as an actual neighborhood expert because you know the people. Anything else? Any other really good conversion stories? These are good. Yes.
It was a senior living townhome.
Okay.
So the clients, they have no idea what Facebook is. The kids are all speculative, how are you going to find, you're just a young whippersnapper, how are you going to find, grandma sell her house for us? So I advertised on Facebook to, running, hey, find your grandparents a house, be the hero to them in their eyes, thing. And they went to my website, set up a showing actually through my online system, and then bought the house.
Nice.
Sold it right from Facebook.
So somebody that's not familiar with technology got a first-hand look at how it works, which is good. You should probably talk to Dirk on how to do that too.
Yeah, probably should.
Probably should.
I'm the one that needs it.
He's still trying to sell houses off of napkins. So back in the old days.
And it's working.
He does. Slides it across. Sits back with his arms crossed. He knows.
That's my USB. We don't worry about this computer.
Exactly. Right.
Don't worry about it. We got some money. We got a house.
What else you need? Any other conversion stories? One more before we let out.
My wife always gets mad at me about handing my cards out, so we were buying a case of beer for Labor Day weekend a couple years ago, and I handed my card out, and she gets mad at me all the time. He looked at the card, he said, I need to buy a house in Northeast Minneapolis. He wanted his mom and dad's house to be sold too, so we got 2 deals out of it 2 years ago.
That is excellent. I remember one time I was at a gas station, and I had my name tag on, and a guy looks at me and goes, "You sell houses?" I said, "Yep." He goes, here's my card, call me, I want to buy a house. And I did, I sold him a house like 3 weeks later. You just never know, okay? So for those that haven't put decals on their car, and you should, that's completely hypocritical because I never would have done that myself, but you really should because people, my car was cool, I didn't want that on there. Anyway, the reality is people that do that, and who was talking about their church, that they got a deal from church? So those kind of organizations are great because people that, you're going to a church with 500 people there on a Sunday, and they get to know you by seeing you step out of that car with that decal. Pretty soon people are approaching you versus you approaching them. That's kind of how that works. All right, so unless we have any other stories, yes?
Not a story, but just it's from listings to leads. This came up with Vanessa and I are co-listing. And I pulled, because she's the lead, so I went in and grabbed it, is what you do in listings to lead, to take it, and found out that it's advertising where these pictures came from. It's from the original listing.
Oh, okay.
And it's pulling, so I grabbed other people that have okayed, that we can advertise our stuff.
Yep.
You just gotta check because these were not our pictures, they were another agent's.
Which could be a problem.
The house was sold before, it could
Yep.
be a big problem.
Very good point. That's something we need to look at because that is a MLS infraction right there. So when Bruce gets the fine coming down the line, all right. All right, that's so I don't know, Anna, you, whoever wants to check into that would be good. That's all I had for you guys today. Team leader meeting will be starting. What time is it now?
About 2 almost.
2:45. Okay, we'll be
Yeah.
starting that right at 11. Thanks, guys.
You announcing the elevator one today?
We will be. You got it.
Thanks, everybody.
Publishing the